Now we're moving into the insurance section. This is the last of those main sections covered in Easy Money. The insurance section is going to provide details regarding the need for insurance protection if death were to occur now or at any point in the future. This section is also going to include a discussion of disability, property casualty, and long-term care insurance. So we'll start by looking at this life insurance graph. This graph's really nice. I love this one. It's going to display the total capital needed versus available for the survivor situation. So any gap between the yellow line, which is the capital needed, and the green bars, which are the capital available, means that the survivor would have a shortfall situation that could be filled with life insurance. This is a great graph to show how life insurance needs might change over time. If there's only a gap in the first 5 years, for example, a term policy might be best for the client. The numbers to support the graph are included on the following pages, F3 and F4 for if individual 1 were to die and individual 2 were to be the survivor, which is the top graph, or F5 and F6, which is the opposite situation if individual 2 were to die and individual 1 were the survivor. So let's take a look at that next report, which is the survivor needs for individual 1. This is going to work just like the retirement needs analysis pages, where it's going to look at the total amount needed versus available for survivor situation. So if we look here, we can see the total amount of life insurance needed if individual 1 were to die at their current age, or 10 years before life expectancy, and 2 midpoint ages. So essentially we're going to evaluate 4 different ages for life insurance needs here. This report is going to compare the total spending needed to the total income sources available to come up with the capital required to fund the income needed. This number represents how much the survivor would need in assets today to cover their future shortfalls. The program is going to add in any immediate cash needs to that capital required to come up with the total capital needed at individual 1's death. This total capital number is then compared to the total assets available and any insurance coverage currently available. So if that total capital needed exceeds the total assets plus any insurance coverage currently available, that means that the program is essentially going to list the difference as is suggested for additional life insurance coverage. So this is going to be illustrated at every age on report F4. So if we jump down to F4, we can see here, this report creates a worksheet essentially describing the income needs and sources on a year-by-year basis. So it's also going to detail that capital needed for income, immediate cash needs, net assets, and total life insurance needed. The big number here, the number to understand, is that capital needed for income. That capital needed for income is the amount of capital that they would need to satisfy all remaining years of shortages and surpluses if death were to occur at that point in the projection. For example, if we look at the capital needed for income listed for age 70, that's the amount that they would essentially need, that would be the amount required to meet all the future shortages and surpluses from age 70 through life expectancy. So that number is calculated just by taking the net present value of the shortages and surpluses that occur from that age until the client's life expectancy. So we can see we have the same reports for if individual 2 were to die and individual 1 were the survivor. So you can evaluate that life insurance for every year of the projection. Next, we get into disability. So we have a disability graph, and that's going to look at comparing their expenses to the income sources available for a disability situation on either a short-term or long-term basis. And you can get more details on the next report here. And this is going to break down the total income needed for living expenses compared to income sources for, again, those short-term or long-term disability situation. And you'll notice here the disabled individual's earned income no longer appears, but the non-disabled income is available along with any current disability benefits. So then if we take a look here, F9 through F12 are mainly just text reports. So you can read those at any time, but I do want to take a look at report F11, which is long-term care report. This is a long-term care needs analysis, which is going to show an estimated total cost for long-term care for individual 1 or 2. And you can set that total cost of long-term care and the number of months of care for this projection if you go back to the insurance input and that disability and long-term care tab. This is also where you can enter in any disability benefits used for that disability report on F8. So that really takes us through all the sections available in Easy Money.